Hello everyone. So today we're going to be looking at how if you've been made redundant from a job in 2020, especially in UK, how you can get taxes back, thousands of pounds worth taxes back quickly into your bank account from HMRC mid of the year instead of waiting for a longer period. This is something that's not very commonly known to people, and I've been advising a few people who've lost their jobs in the last recent few months, and they've got their checks back from HMRC within a span of like 4 to 5 weeks. So that's the entire processing time that we're talking about that you initiated today. You can get the money back from HMRC in like 4 to 5 weeks. This is where you've lost a job in UK after April 2020, and you've been a taxpayer in UK, and you at least had 1 month salary after April 2020, which means that you would have also had a redundancy payment potentially from your employment, and you were in a permanent employment. Now, the UK government has done a lot to protect their jobs. They've done a lot for self-employed people with bounce back loans. They brought in furlough schemes where they're paying like 80% of the salary of employees who the employers are not able to pay the salary. But despite that, the unemployment is growing, the redundancies are increasing. And what I've seen with my friends itself, that there are people who probably lost their jobs like 4 or 5 months back, and they're still struggling to find a job. And as you approach December, we all know that it's a very quiet period, and people are looking for money when they've not had a paycheck for a few months. And this is probably something that could help someone who is in need right now. And that's why I'm making this video, because I've said this to a few of my friends, and they've been able to use the Excel calculator that I gave them, and they've been able to claim back the money from HMRC. So I'll also share the calculations and the calculator that you can use for your own pay scale, and then you can calculate whether or not if you're due in the first place. You can do the calculation, and also explain what is the process and how you can do it online. Everything is online completely. I'll explain the whole process online as well. So first of all, a few quick definitions. People in UK will already know this, but I'm just summarizing some of the basic concepts. The tax year in UK runs from April 2000 or April of the year to March of next year. So tax year of 2020 runs from April 2020 to March of next year. And if you complete the whole year, and if you're in employment, you'll get something called as a P60, which is like Form 16 in India. And P60 is the end of your tax certificate from HMRC. If you quit or if you're redundant, then you get something called as a P45, which is a mid-year tax certificate, which has the information required for you to calculate this returns, and you can use that information for your calculation. And the tax returns are generally done much later. It's done in like January 2022 for the 2020 year. So when it completes in March, you have like almost 9 months to complete the tax returns, and you'll probably get your refunds or any tax information is like calculated only at that point of time. However, if you are made redundant, or if you are not getting employment back, you could submit a mid-year tax return, and if you had extra taxes that you had paid, you can claim back those taxes, which is what we're going to see, and probably up to 10,000 pounds that you can claim back. And I'm going to show you how the calculation is done. And this is called as this is a form called as P50, and it can be completely done online. And on top of it, there is about 30,000 pounds that is redundancy pay, which is non-taxable. Which obviously, if you're going through that process, the company would explain about the redundancy pay in detail. But the calculation that we need to note is that redundancy pay is completely taken out of the calculation. But on top of that, if you have a pile-on or a notice period, that is included in the tax calculation. So again, this is just reiterating the gov.uk website, where it's talking about how the statutory redundancy pay is calculated, and the 30,000 pounds that is given as redundancy is not taxable. But if you had a notice period that they've bought, like 3 months notice period or 1 month notice period, and they've given you a garden leave or pay in lieu of notice, then for that pile-on or for those kind of bonuses or whatever it is, the tax is there. So let's first look at why would you actually get a tax rebate. If you've been paying normal taxes, why do you get a tax refund from the government or HMRC if you're being made redundant mid of the year? So I've explained this sheet in my R35 calculation for people who have seen that video. I'll attach a link to it. But essentially, these are the tax slab rates. You for 12,500 pounds, you have 0% tax. And then the next 37,500, you have 20%, and then at 40%, and it goes on. So for this calculation, I'm just going to basically assume that people are earning like, up to that 40% cutoff, and I'm just going to use that Excel to show it. So what happens is, if you earn 80,000 pounds, the government then calculates tax based on that gross income. and they assume that your total tax is 19,499 based on the slabs and everything, and they prorate this tax through the 12-month period. So what it means is that they take that 19,499 pay tax calculator for your gross annual income, and they prorate it as £1,600 per month, and across the 12 months, that's what they charge you, or that's what they take out the tax from your salary. And if any month, if you're getting a little bit extra, then they take that additional amount as well, like if it's a bonus or something like that. It's calculated at a 40% level. But in reality, if they started calculating tax based on the actual income that you're earning till that point of time in the year-to-date salary, then for the first month, because you're earning less than 12,500, you'll get zero tax. And then the next month, you're slightly going above that 12,500, then you get £166. And then it goes on. So it kind of gradually increases. But the problem here is at the end of the year, then you'll be paying huge amount of taxes. To normalize it and to make it evenly distributed, this is what most tax organizations do. To make it evenly distributed, they prorate the tax and calculate it on a monthly basis. Now, this is where the option of getting taxes back is coming, because you would have eventually paid, at a point in time, you would have eventually paid more taxes than is required because of the prorata that is in existence. If you are paying taxes as and when you're getting salary, that's how you would have calculated it. But let's take an example where, again, the 90,499 is divided like that. So by April 2020, you should have paid, you would have paid 1,625, where you don't need to have paid anything. And September 2020, for example, you would have paid £9,750, whereas the actual pay tax should have been only £5,500 till that point in time in your salary, which means that you will get back like £4,250 if you stopped working at that level and you got nothing else. You already paid £4,250 extra from your salary, which you need to get back from the HMRC, because you're not going to earn any further and the pro rata tax is not valid anymore, which means that you should have paid only £5,500 in taxes. So the £4,250, you need to get it back from the HMRC as a tax refund. Now, if you had stopped it and done nothing, then by the time you complete your tax return in January 2022 is when this tax refund would have come into picture, and that's when they would have given you back that tax refund. So again, every month it varies, and by the time you reach March 2021, if you are still earning the same amount, then obviously you would have ended up paying the correct amount of taxes. But even till Feb 2021, which means that you're paying slightly higher than what is expected of you in terms of a tax. Now, on top of it, the redundancy pay, like I said, the £30,000 redundancy pay up to £30,000, whatever is given as redundancy pay, as statutory redundancy, is non-taxable. But on top of it, any garden pay or any pay in lieu of notice or holidays or bonus, they are again considered for tax. So what happens is, because like if you're a £80,000 tax earner, then they calculate this tax also on a 40% rate. Whereas because you stopped at if you stopped at June or July, you've never reached that 40% tax slab, which means that your tax should be calculated 20% instead of 40%. But because they assume that you're going to earn 80,000, they calculate this additional amount as a 40% tax. Now you can change it to 50,000 or any amount that you're earning. This is more or less calculated for the right side in terms of the monthly tax structure. I've calculated it in this Excel. Should work for most amounts that you earn. So if you put in your expected yearly salary and whatever point in time that you finish, you can actually find out how much tax that HMRC is supposed to give you back. So I'm going to keep it at 80,000 and leave this Excel, and I'm going to share this Excel. You can make a copy of this Excel, and you can edit it, and you can put your own numbers, and you can find your own calculation. So I put in all the formulas that are required. I've not seen an Excel like this or an online calculator for this mid-year tax return. So I made this Excel, and I'm going to share this Excel in my description for people if you want it. So you can again refer this tool to anybody who's actually been made redundant in UK in the last few months, I would say. And this is where you go and claim it. So if you go to online, you have a claim online button. You can also claim by post. It's called Form P50. You can Google for it if you don't find the link in the description. Then you can Google for it, but I'll give the link in the description. So if you click on the claim a tax refund, before that, this is the rules basically. So you should have been unemployed for nearly 4 weeks, and you don't expect to go back to work, or you've not found work after 4 weeks. And or even if you're not made redundant, if you stop working and gone back to studies, or some people have gone to tier 4, for example, you can also claim mid-year tax refund, because you would have been paying higher taxes because of the tax structure that I explained. So again, once you've satisfied it, if you click on it, there is a start now button. If you've already signed up for tax assessment every year, then you can actually use your login to do it. Otherwise, there is a first time login that gets created that takes probably a week. But if you already have a login in place, and you done self-assessment before, then the entire process only takes like about 4 or 5 weeks. By the time all you need is your P45 to submit this form, and once you've submitted it, then it takes about, the calculation is automatic. What I've shown here is basically for your own information. You don't need to do this calculation and tell HMRC. They'll do the calculation themselves, and they'll send you the tax returns. But the entire process is about 5 weeks time in total. So by the time that you fill up the form, you understand that there is a tax return that is due to you, and fill up the form, it takes about 5 weeks. Now we are in mid of November, and if you fill it now, you could probably get the money back before Christmas, for example. So again, I know a lot of people who are struggling for money. The last 3 or 4 months, they've lost their paychecks. And I've explained this process to a few of my friends. I've given them this Excel, and they have applied, and they've got it in like 4 or 5 weeks. That's the standard time that I've seen. So I haven't seen this information a lot in some of the other pages where they talk about redundancies, or they talk about the money help that is available. So I just wanted to make a quick video for people who are struggling at this point of time, at least a small bit of help that I can. And again, if you know anyone who's in similar shoes in UK, even if you are not in UK, please pass on this information to them, and hopefully it will be useful to them. So until next time, thank you, bye.